That's all? Marco asked. Just the fate of the human race? Don't you have something more challenging for us? But the Elemist wasn't paying attention to Marco. We do not interfere in the private affairs of other beings, he said. But when they are in danger of becoming extinct, we step in to save a few members. We love life, all life, but especially sentient life forms, like Homo sapiens, your species. This is a very beautiful planet, a priceless work of art. You've obviously never seen our school, Marco said, still giddily trying to joke. Suddenly, without warning, the Elemist did it again. He opened space. We were no longer standing in the Yerk pool. We were no longer underground at all. We were underwater, deep underwater. But the water did not seem to touch my skin, and when I breathed, there was air. Still, I felt a fear tingle in the back of my neck. We stood, me, Cassie, Jake, Marco, Axe, and Tobias in his own human body, in the middle of the ocean, suspended in the water, but dry. The Elemist could no longer be seen. We were floating above a coral reef, and everything was moving again. All around us, the fish swam by in swift darting schools. Fish in every color and shape, reflecting the dappled sunlight from above. Sharks prowled, stingrays seemed to fly, squid pulsated, crabs scuttled across fabulous extrusions of coral. Tuna as big as sheep drifted past. Swift, grinning dolphins raced by in pursuit of their next meal. Lovely. The Elemist's voice was once more seemed to grow from deep within my own heart. Lovely. And then, as quickly as we'd been plunged into the ocean, we were drifting above the waving golden grass of the African savanna. A pride of lions lazed in the sun below us, looking sleepily content. Wildebeest and gazelles and impalas grazed, then broke into wild, springing, bouncing races that forced you to smile at the sheer energy of it all. There were hyenas, rhinos, elephants, giraffes, cheetahs, baboons, zebras, hawks and eagles, and buzzards wheeled overhead. Look at it. Then, in an instant, deep jungle. A lithe jaguar prowled while monkeys chattered in the tree canopy above. Snakes, as long as a person, slithered across tree branches. The air reeked of the heavy perfume of 1,000,000 flowers. We heard the sounds of frogs, insects, monkeys, and wild screaming birds. In all the universe, there is no greater beauty. In 1,000,000 worlds, no greater art than this. Then the Elemist showed us the human race. We flew, invisible, through the steel and glass canyons of New York City. We drifted above the villages at the edges of the jungle rivers. We watched a rock concert in Rio de Janeiro and a political meeting in Seoul. And a soccer game in Durban and an open-air market in the Philippines. Humans, crude, primitive, but capable of understanding. Suddenly, all movement stopped. We were staring at a picture. A painting. I'd seen the painting somewhere before. It was a wild swirl of color, a painting of purple flowers. Irises, I think, although I'm no big expert on flowers. The artist has seen the beauty of those flowers and captured some small bit of it on canvas. Capable of understanding. Then, without warning, we were back in the Yerk pool. The images were all gone. We were in the land of despair once again, surrounded by frozen images of horror. The Elemist, or at least the body he had made for us to look at, reappeared. That was a nice tour, I said. I was trying to sound tough, but I felt as if I had been turned inside out, as if my mind had exploded into thousands of sparkly pieces. I was overwhelmed. But what's it all about? Humans are an endangered species. Soon you will disappear. I thought of a couple things to say, but I said nothing. No one said anything. The Yerk race is also sentient, the Elemist said, and they are technologically more advanced than you. They will continue to infest the human race. The Andalites will try to stop them, but they will fail. The Yerks will win, and soon the only humans left will be what you call human controllers. I had stopped breathing. The way he said it was like you couldn't argue, like you couldn't say anything. He spoke every word with utter and complete certainty. He wasn't guessing. He knew. He knew we would lose. I had been terrified a few moments before, as the Taxons prepared to swallow us, I have been afraid for my own life and the life of my friends. Now, as the Yerk pool hung suspended in time, I felt a deeper fear. My head was still swimming from all of the images the Ellimist had shown us. Why come here just to tell us we're dead meat? I managed to ask. We have an offer for you, the Ellimist said. You see, we can save a small sample of the human race. We have a planet where we would relocate you, some members of your family, a few others, chosen to get a good genetic sampling, as well as a few non-human Earth species that are of special interest to us. I was surprised to hear Cassie actually laugh. He's some kind of environmentalist, she said. That's what he is. We're the spotted owls. We're the rhinos. We're the whales. We're the endangered species, and he's the environmentalist trying to save us. We have a planet set aside for you, the Ellimist said. It will seem very much like Earth. You'll be free to evolve naturally as your species should. This is insane, Marco said. It's like Noah's Ark. The Yerk flood is coming. Load up the boat. No, Tobias said, staring at the Ellimist. It's a zoo. That's what he has for us. A zoo. The Ellimist said, We do not impose our will on sentient species. The decision is yours. I have chosen you to decide because only you, of all free humans, know what is happening. You must decide to stay on Earth and fight the battle you are certain to lose, or to leave this planet behind and form part of a new colony of humans. How long do we have to decide? Jake asked. You must decide now, the Ellimist said. What? I yelled. What? What are you up to? What do you mean we have to decide now? What this character wants us to do is run away, I said. He wants us to abandon our people and our planet just to save ourselves and the people we care about personally. Tobias met my gaze. There appeared to be a faint flicker of his old human smile. This is a decision for humans, Ax said. I fight the Yerks. I follow Prince Jake. But I don't trust this Ellimist, however great his power. Guys, I know how you feel, Cassie said, but think about this. We may not even get out of this Yerk pool alive, and if we die, then what chance do humans have against the Yerks? And anyway, he says that humans will lose. Isn't it better to save some humans rather than losing everyone? Jake and Marco had still not voted. I noticed that they were looking back towards the building we had come from, and past the building to what looked like a tall, circular column rising straight up the rock ceiling of the cavern. The column was a mix of steel and clear glass. Inside the column was a human controller, seemingly frozen in midair. She looked like she'd been falling down a long tube, or else flying up it. A drop shaft! We had used one aboard the Yerk mothership. It was sort of an elevator that worked by some invisible force to let you fall safely from one level to another. But did it go up as well as down? That was the question. Was the human controller in the shaft falling or rising? Jake cocked an eyebrow at me. He looked back to the column, making sure I had noticed it. I squinted closely at the frozen controller. She had shoulder-length hair. If she were falling, it should have been swept upward. It was down around her neck. Mr. Ellimist, Marco said, thanks for your offer, but I don't think so. I don't think I want to be in your zoo, and I don't like being muscled like this. I'm glad you like Earth, but we'll take care of it the best way we can. That made it 4 against, me, Marco, Tobias, and Ax. I counted Ax, even if he said it wasn't up to him. Cassie was alone and leading in favor of the Ellimist offer. You all know I take care of lots of sick animals. They're always afraid of me, even though I'm trying to help them. Are we being brave saying no, or are we just being foolish, resisting someone who's trying to save us? What she said made me think. With a shock, I pictured nature films I had seen. I remembered one that showed environmentalists attempting to capture some tigers. They were trying to move the tigers to a game preserve where they'd be safe. Tigers are almost extinct, and the humans were trying to save a few. But the tigers had resisted. They had growled and fought and avoided the capture nets. Was that us? Were we animals on the edge of extinction, resisting the being who came to save us? I wondered if I should change my vote. Save myself. Save my family. What would they say if they had to vote? My mom? She would never risk the lives of her children. She would vote yes. And my dad? If we were all magically transported to a safe place together, and I had to explain what I had done, that I had voted to save all of us and give up the fight, what would he think of that decision? You know what bothers me? I heard Jake tell the Ellimist. You say the human race will lose to the Yeerks, but I don't believe you can tell the future. See, you don't know how we're going to vote. If you did, you wouldn't bother to be here, would you? He looked around at each of us. Cassie smiled sadly. If you guys vote to stay, I will too. Jake reached out and took her hand. Mr. Ellimist, I guess you have your